Welcome to the weekly review for Week 13 for the Freedom Fantasy League. Week 13 seems like a dream. Were you a king or just got reamed? And it seems more like a nightmare. The playoff teams are set. Who plays who, we know not yet. However, next week we all can set our lineups without a care. All right, let's move on to the match scores for Week 13.
All right. So match scores for week 13. Form Blazing Sword once again skinned Oh My Gato 185.05 to 163.5. The 21.55 gap being the smallest margin of victory for the week. Yeah. Co-commissioner dominated commissioner this year, winning both matches decidedly. This match was the tortoise versus the hare, fantasy football style. Form Blazing Swords started off Thanksgiving with Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Malik Neighbors both scoring a tick over 16 points. Not too bad. Then on Friday, Black Friday, Travis Kelsey made his contribution of also a tick over 16 points. This sprinkle. When the Sunday game started, Oh My Gato came out fast with both Bijan Robinson and Bucky Irving scoring way over the projected points, with Irving even going for 41.8 points. Phew, super fast. Yeah. As all that was happening, Form Blazing scored, moved merrily along with the rest of his team, scoring 13.25 and 27.3 points. And it's not And that's not counting CJ Stroud putting in just enough to barely make QB1 numbers. It was a lesson on why it's better to have all of your players strongly produced instead of having one or two players go bonkers and carry your team. So truly was tortoise in the hare. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Slowly but surely. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. With the win, Form Blazing Sword has clinched a playoff spot, and even though he lost, Oh My Gato is pretty much a lock to barely squeeze into the playoffs. Yeah, both of us. Saquon Barkley and the Super Mario Brothers slayed Blue Hair White Dragon 185.82 to 155.25, avenging the week 4 loss. This time it wasn't Barkley that brought S&M Brothers, but an unlikely hero. It appears that the thin air was the problem because Russell Wilson is back to being unlimited in Pittsburgh as he scored 55 points and helped bring the hammer of vengeance down on the head of BHWD. Yeah, we'll see if that's all the juice in that lemon after he got squeezed. I hope you took a picture of that. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen again. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, like an eclipse. Okay. Blue Hair White Dragon had an unusually low output as it looks like the clock on Javante Williams has run out. New Orleans defense also contributed single digits to the fight, so add that to the three other players underperforming, and you get an ugly output. The only player that really came to play for her was Joe Mixon. So, how do you feel about having a keeper now, BHWD? Seems like you had one after all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both Saquon Barkley and the Super Mario Brothers and Blue Hair White Dragon have clinched a playoff spot. So next week is basically a bye for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Saquon Barkley. Yeah.
Yeah.
What goes in must come out. And that's what's happening when the gut defecated the great and mighty Pooh 187.10 to 123.40, ending his 5 game losing streak and ending the season series and evening the even series 1-1 with TGMP. They both tied. The
Mm-hmm.
gut has been the definition of bad luck, though. His team has averaged around 180 points for the last 2 months. That's a great score, but only has 2 wins to show for it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's almost 200. That should win most of the time. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Every time he scored high, the opponent scores just a bit higher than him, proving that there's really is more than just research that makes up a fantasy football match. Sprinkle in the luck. Yep. Yeah. The gut would have been dangerous had he made it to the race for the Rambo with having a strong stack of Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton and one of the highest producing kickers in the league. Yeah. They say kicker position isn't any good until you get a guy scoring like a wide receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. After early disappointments, Najee Harris and Josh Jacobs have rewarded the Guts' faith in not dropping them by now becoming steady RB1s. So that's a lesson in patience right there.
Right. Yeah.
On the other side of the match, TGMP is proving that his name is less irony and more self fulfilling prophecy. After the draft, there was concern that turning the league into a keeper league had created a monster. Seeing both Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill on the same team. Yeah. But bad luck bit TGMP before even the first kickoff when CMC was put on IR due to an Achilles injury, which supposed to have been fine, but it wasn't. Yeah. Then Tyreek was manhandled by some overzealous authorities, which exacerbated his wrist injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about that? Yeah. Yeah. No. Anyway, all this before the first kick of the pigskin. Yeah. So it looked great, and then it just all went to poo. Yeah. The great and mighty poo. Right? Right as Hill figured out how to manage the injury, Tua was concussed, giving every manager of a Dolphins player a headache. However, hope reigned supreme when Tua came back, and CNC was on the mend. That hope lasted exactly 1 month, and it all came crashing down quickly. Hill's injury became a huge hindrance, and last week CMC was having "I'm back" game in the snow of Buffalo, went down with a non-contact injury, just exploded. Yeah. Sprained PCL was the diagnosis that put CMC and TGMP's season into the IR. Dag. Always next year. Both the Gut and TGMP will battle to avoid the Mortifer in week 15, but that is not this week. This week is time to set your lineups for fun. The fight begins the next. Be prepared. Yeah. Who will hold the great and mighty golden food sitting on your desk? Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. So this will lead us to the
Match
of
the week. Yeah. So we already mentioned that the closest margin of victory was 21 points. Okay, so there really wasn't much drama this week. So this week's match of the week is more of a tale of how Snake Eyes was slain. So let's first start off with an amazing move by Snake Eyes that I don't think any of us would have done. All right, it looked like a move made only by someone who knew that they had clinched a playoff spot, and so effectively was on a 2-week bye. Yeah, he not only sat Derrick Henry for Chase Brown, who scored way less than Brown, but also sat CeeDee Lamb versus the Giants on Thanksgiving. Yeah, Lamb didn't even score 7 points. Yeah, so is he a witch? Probably not. Yeah, but what he is a player that is locked in going into the playoffs. Yeah, so great moves on that end, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough as Mom Spaghetti meatballed Snake Eyes to 108.65 to 170.2. Yeah, so if I told you that Amon-Ra St. Brown scored 13 points and Jamar Chase only 25, you think that there's no way Mom Spaghetti would make close to 170 points, let alone beat it. Well, that's because she looked at her team and just as Bonnie Tyler did years before, sang out, "I need a hero." Yeah, and there were two who answered her call. Scary Terry McLaurin gave true to his nickname as he provided 30.30 points to the fight. Not to be outdone, Brock Bowers poured on 38.2 points of his own. Add that to Lamar Jackson being Lamar, and her defense playing against the Mayo of Turnover Town, and she was able to do what only Blitz could do all year long: close the eyes of the snake. Yeah, so the recipe, we all know it now, everybody. The recipe of beating the team that has ruled our league for almost the whole season is, write this down, have your quarterback, wide receiver, and your flex go nuclear, and then have a defense going against Will Levis. Yeah. So, yeah, let's see if we can all create that in the race of the Rambo. Yeah, great. Yeah, we unlocked the secret. Okay, of course. Yeah, Snake Eyes and Mom Spaghetti have already clinched, so week 14 is for funsies. Okay, so that moves us on to the blowout of the week.
Apparently, Blitz circled this week on his calendar after his week 4 loss as he terrorized the Doc 240 to 169.55, earning the blowout of the week by beating him by an incredible 70.45 points. Pretty big. As we just went on living our fantasy football lives, there was a storm brewing. We heard the thunder when he would occasionally be in the match of the week, but then dismiss it as a one-clap wonder when he committed the now fabled slumber blunder. But the mid-afternoon snooze was the last time the word sleep and blitz will be mentioned in the same sentence, because the monster has fully awoken. No one has told Joe Burrow that the Bengals are out of the playoff chase, as he keeps pouring on fantasy football numbers, almost doubling his projected numbers each game. As the winter months approach, it's not the Yeti who's busting out, but James Cook, who turned in points all day as he fittingly was cooking on Thanksgiving weekend, pouring on 36 points. James Cook, playing like his brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
right.
now, back in the day, yeah. And now the stuff of nightmares, a once forgotten commodity, Jerry Jeudy, has exploded with Jamison Winston taking over the reins in Cleveland, scoring 64 points. Also in the snow. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
64. Who that guy? Yeah. Now the playoffs are here. This storm is on its way. So hunker down, because Blitz isn't too far off as the crow flies. Yeah. Keep in mind that the Doc had a good showing with his score that would have beaten 3 other teams in this league this week and clinched a playoff spot. So last week, he clinched the playoff spot last week. And so he's one of the top teams in the league. So the Doc should hold his head high as Blitz handed his ass to him. Yeah. It was his normally high producer, AJ Brown, and Breece Hall suffering from a bad case of Aaron Rodgeritis, a condition that severely hinders players from producing fantasy points. That caused his end this week. Again, he had a great week, but he just couldn't keep up with those two guys down. AJ Brown will bounce back, but what Breece Hall has is serious. Just so you know, the Aaron Rodgeritis is unforgiving and contagious. Both Garrett Wilson and Devonta Adams have come down with it. It's close to an epidemic. So be aware of that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No vaccine.
Yeah, no vax. Don't worry about the mask. Not effective.
Yeah.
This week, both Blitz and the Doc are effectively on bye week, as they have both clinched playoff spots. So congrats to them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This goes to the rankings now, bro.
All right, so let's see where everyone sits with the rankings after week 13. All right, number one, gliding to his second bye week with a record of 10-3. Snake Eyes is still at the top, relaxing and waiting for week 15. Again, sitting at second and also coasting to the postseason with an 8-5 record. Blue Hair, White Dragon, second. Moving up from fourth with a record of 7-6, and who just filled the biggest hole on our roster, Mount Spaghetti, is now third. Yeah, sitting at third. Yeah.
Took off like
Also,
a rocket.
yeah. Just like you said. Just like you said weeks ago. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
she's in third. How about that?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Also climbing up a rung with a 7-6 record. Blitz is now in fourth and clinched a playoff spot. Slipping down to fifth, but also a team who has clinched a playoff spot with a record of 7-6. The Doc sits in fifth. Staying put where they were a week before, Saquon Barkley and the Super Mariota brothers are in sixth.
Thank you, Barkley.
With a 7-6 record, and he also clinched a playoff spot. Also, for the second week in a row with a 7-6 record, Form Blazing Sword sits in seventh, effectively on a bye week, having already clinched a playoff spot. In eighth, the team that looks to have barely made the playoffs with a record of 5-8, Oh My Gato sits as and is in a good spot for the playoff, but he isn't a lock. All right, so check this out. This is what can happen.
Oh yeah,
okay?
yeah. Let's listen.
This could happen. Not mad. Okay, so if Oh My Gato loses next week, all right, and TGMP not only wins next week, but also scores 387 more points than Oh My Gato, then it'll be TMG who clinches the playoff spot. So there you go.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, there is. Yes, there is. Yeah, in ninth, staying put in ninth, TGMP sits with a record of 4-9. Yeah, and isn't mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet. Yeah, we just went through it. Yeah.
Saying there's a chance.
Yeah, you never know. Yes, and with the record of 3-10, but hit his stride just a little bit too late. The music to our rears. The Gut sits in 10th place.
All right. So, speaking of last place, let's talk about a few embarrassing moments that our managers make in a segment we like to call Oops, I Shit My Pants. Okay, we'll start off with one of the biggest dumps of the week. Oh My Gato dropped 2 dingy loads when he started Baker Mayfield over Jordan Love, who scored almost twice as high as Mayfield. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. And that feline was howling when he started Cooper Kupp over Devontae Adams, who scored over 5 times higher than Kupp. Yeah. Yeah, and since he would have if he wouldn't have shit his pants, he'd have won the game. Here comes the commissioner's crap. That's for losing.
So bad. Bad. It's bad enough, dude, to do it, but whenever if you would have made those changes, you'd have won the match.
Yeah. So you had everything.
It was there. There.
You did it wrong.
Yes, I did.
Played my cards wrong. Yeah. Baldwin luck.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. A sword wasn't the only thing he was blazing, as Form Blazing Sword started the wrong junior again when he started Tyrone Tracy Jr. over Brian Robinson Jr. No! Leaving Robinson's 34.90 points on the bench. I didn't need him though, so it was okay. Here's a sound that your undies was feeling. Yeah. Okay, could have been bad. Blitz was part of more than one blowout of the week when he started Michael Pittman Jr. in the flex over David Njoku, who scored 3 times higher than Pittman. Oh, beer fart, beer fart, beer fart. Yeah. Look out below. Here's what we heard when Blue Hair White Dragon started Javonte Williams over Alvin Kamara, who scored 3 times higher than Williams. This is why you never leave your mouth open when you look up. Nasty. Yeah. Super was the dump that Saquon Barkley and the Super Mario Brothers made when they started Jamison Williams over Keenan Allen, who scored 2.5 times higher than Williams. Here comes the Shadow Maker. And the last one. Those snake eyes were watering when his ying of a good move was met with a yang of starting George Kittle in the flex over Trey McBride, who scored 25 times higher than Kittle.
Yeah.
25. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the brown liquid from the leader. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, hey, here's the leader of the league. He's the leader of the league because he goes one extra step, and this week was no exception. Another turd dropped when he started Khalil Shakir over Brian Thomas Jr., who scored almost 4 times higher than Shakir.
Yeah.
You should have noticed the sty. You shouldn't notice the sty in your neighbor's eye when this log was in yours. Little bit of Bible in there.
Yeah, look, got biblical with snake eyes.
A little bit of biblical.
Right. Yeah.
That's it
All
for
right.
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week is the last week of the buys, and the NFL wanted to make sure it counted. Yeah, on buys this week, Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, and the Washington Commanders. Yeah, so make sure I'm planning accordingly. So, but it's it's the bye week. Who knows? All right, so that wraps up the Week 13 review. So I know that it's not officially a bye week, but everyone really is officially on a bye week. Okay, really. Yeah. The wins and losses will basically set playoff seeding, but not knock you out of the playoff running. All right, so have fun with your lineup this week. Eat, drink, and be merry. For Week 15, you fight. All right, so with that, congratulations to the winners, consolations to the losers, and see you guys and gals next week.
Until next week, stay strong, be of good courage, and long live the Republic.